Welcome back to Bob and Jeff Show here on KFH Radio. Monday Night Raw coming to Intrust Bank Arena June 12th. That'll be a big night. One of the mainstays from the Judgment Day, Dominik Mysterio, will be in town on the 12th. He joins us right now. Dominik Mysterio. Hey, Dominik.
Hey, how you guys doing? Thank you for having me.
We're doing well. So just so you know, this is a father-son that do this radio show, and we've been feuding for 7 years.
Well, that's what I like to hear.
I wanted you to be aware of that. So you are on a roll right now in WWE. I imagine you're having a blast with this character, and in a feud, of course, with your legendary and WWE Hall of Fame father, Rey Mysterio. How much fun are you having in the business right now, Dominik?
Oh man, I'm having a lot of fun. Especially that I have my crew backing me up with someone like Rhea Ripley, Damian Priest, Finn Balor. Having them by my side just makes things so much easier and a lot more fun. But I'll tell you what, I think the most fun has been beating up my dad for sure.
So yeah, he mentioned it's a father-son thing. We've been feuding for a while. What advice would you have for someone like me who's maybe ready to split away, get out of the shadow, and do my own thing? Well, how would I go about that?
Frankly, he's ready to beat me up, Dominik. What do you think about that?
I think the son is correct in every point of the way, because we have to realize that the dads are getting older. They're a little out of date, out of touch. So it's time for the new generation to step up. And I don't think as I like to call my dad, the old head, he doesn't get that.
Well, that pains me to hear you say that,
but
I completely understand where you're coming from. By the way, my son's 40, so he's not quite doesn't quite share your youth. You've also developed this amazing chemistry with Rhea Ripley, and that's been incredible to watch. Just talk about her rise to prominence, of course, now a champion, and working alongside her as you have been doing now for several months.
Yeah, I mean, she's the best to ever do it. I don't know who's better than her in this business right now. She's only 27 years old, and she's held every single title in WWE, from the tag title to NXT UK to the Raw Women's Champion to now SmackDown Women's Champion. So she's only 27, she's only getting things started, and she's already at the top of the game, and she's absolutely killing it. So to have her by my side as my mommy and kind of guiding me and helping me through this whole journey is honestly amazing. And it's really cool to see because our relationship was very formal before I joined the Judgment Day. But now we've grown closer. The whole Judgment Day family has grown closer, and I'm very thankful to be able to have her by my side, and I can say, she's one of the best, if not the best, to ever do it, and I'm very lucky to have her.
So you would have to have not really been paying attention to not notice that you've grown a lot as a performer over the time that you've been in WWE, and now every time you start to speak, you are booed out of the building, and I know that's a good thing in WWE. Any reaction is a good reaction. But what does that feel like to be out in front of 20,000 people who are booing the daylights out of you?
It feels good, because I know I'm doing something correct. But at the same time, people gotta I gotta speak my truth, people and people don't want to hear it. I wanna tell them that, they're all in the wrong and that I'm correct, because, everyone's backing up my dad, saying he's a good dad and all this stuff, but he's really not. So all I'm trying to do is speak my truth and let everyone know what kind of father, what kind of a deadbeat Rey Mysterio really was, and I don't think people want to hear that.
Talking with Dominik Mysterio, I wouldn't have your children listening to this interview if I were you. He'll be part of the Monday Night Raw crew that's here on June 12th at Intrust Bank Arena, right here in Wichita, Kansas. Of course, you grew up in this profession. You were on TV at a very young age. You were involved in some storylines with your father when you were just a kid. So you've grown up in this business. You had a relationship with the late and great Eddie Guerrero. How much did that relationship mean to you with Eddie Guerrero?
It definitely, looking back at our relationship now, it definitely means more to me now. I think as a kid, I didn't really see the value. I was kind of just, I was a 8-year-old kid, just hanging around who at the time I would consider just one of my dad's friends, Uncle Eddie. But now being in the business, seeing everything that he's done, everything he's accomplished, the kind of worker he was, the kind of human being he was, makes me appreciate now the kind of person he was, and how honored I was to be able to get to work with him, and even just to get to meet him and hang out with him. I was very fortunate to be a part of all that, and yeah, man, it's a huge blessing to be able to have Eddie Guerrero be a part of a storyline with me. And at the end of the day, I've always said it. I wish he was my real dad because Ray hasn't really done his job. But that's a conversation for another time.
What, Dominic, do you see as the future of the Judgment Day? Because it's been a strong group. You're working main events at Raw. Obviously, you have some breakthrough stars. You, Rhea, Damian Priest, Finn Balor's been there forever and is established. So is the best yet to come for the Judgment Day, in your opinion?
And are you expanding the Judgment Day? I'm curious about that.
As far as expanding, I think that would have to be a family discussion. I'm sure they had a discussion before approaching me and having me join. But I don't know, man. We're very strong right now. We got a good thing going. Like I said, Rhea's SmackDown Women's Champion. Finn and Damian just recently beat the undisputed tag team champions in Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. I have 2 back-to-back victories over Xavier Woods and one of the longest reigning tag team champions. So the Judgment Day is doing really good, and I feel like we haven't even been together for a year yet, as far as all of us together. So this is only a couple months, and we got our whole future ahead of us. So I think this is only the beginning for the Judgment Day.
WWE Superstar Dominik Mysterio, our guest. Last question for you. You're a young guy. You haven't been in the WWE that long. What's the biggest adjustment to working in this profession? I would imagine the travel, but I want to get your answer to that. And how difficult or demanding is the travel schedule for a young guy like yourself?
It's very definitely, it's demanding. It takes up a lot of our time, from getting up on a Saturday morning, catching 1 or 2 flights, landing, going to the gym, and then going straight to the show. And then after the show, you drive that night to the next city where you're going to have the next show on Sunday night. So it's I think what really takes a toll on the body is the travel. Those early mornings, catching flights. But it's always exciting being able to catch that flight back home. I'll tell you, that's one flight you're always excited for.
Before I let you go, Dominic, I did want to ask you if you would mind, or if you could reveal your plan to get your hands on Rey again, because he's on SmackDown, you're on Raw. How will your paths cross? What are you going to do to avenge that?
I think right now he decided to go to SmackDown to stay away from me because the LWO hadn't beaten the Judgment Day. They lost. Santos kept losing to me. Selena kept losing to Rhea. And I think they just had to get away from us. So I'm going to let them get their rest from us. But at the end of the day, I'm going to come back for my dad. And I'm going to make him realize what kind of a bad father he was. And I can't tell you guys my plan because for whatever reason he listens to this, he might catch a hint of it and he'll start making his own plans. But I will tell you this, mark my words. I will come back for Rey Mysterio.
Speaking as a father, I hate that answer, Dominic.
Well, I'm sure
thank you very
mind it.
Yeah, thank you, Dominic, for speaking up for us.
We've turned against the older generation here. That's okay. Dominic, it's a pleasure to talk with you. Thank you very much for being on the show. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in Wichita on June 12th as part of the Judgment Day for Monday Night Raw. Thanks again, Dominic.
Yeah, thank you guys. Have a good one.